Okay, so in this video what I'm going to be doing is just installing BigBlueButton onto a Linode virtual machine. And so just going to get started with the setting up a virtual machine first. And as you notice, it's called Akamai because they bought them out for some amount of money. And so here I am. So everything's blank. I've got no Linodes and I've got no volumes. So first I'm going to create a Linode. And the important thing here is with BigBlueButton, the current version, it runs specifically on Ubuntu 20.04. So you have to choose that version. And then for the region, I'm just going to choose mine just for the sake of speed. So I'll just choose this US because I've been using that one before. And so for BigBlueButton, they recommend using a dedicated CPU. And the main thing is that the minimum that the script or that they recommend is 4 CPUs. But as I've found, if you're just doing this with a few people, then 2 CPUs actually works just fine. So I'm going to choose 2 CPUs and make sure it's dedicated, because the problem with shared is that it can cause blips. Yeah, because BigBlueButton, the important thing about it is that it's real time. And so for real time operation, you need a dedicated CPU, because a shared CPU could cause sort of glitches in the sort of voice transmission, which of course you don't want. So you definitely want a dedicated CPU, so that you get a consistent amount of processing power. So I'm just going to call it, give it a name. I've got some tags here already. So don't need placement group, and so for a password, I know I'm not supposed to do that, but it's just to save time. And the important thing is to add an SSH key, because that then makes it easy to connect to it without having to type in the password. And so we don't need anything else. And then then that's ready, and so we just create. Right. And one thing I've said this before, but they still haven't fixed this, is that you notice here it says provisioning. All you get is just this orange circle, which just pulses. But if you click on Linodes, it actually gives you a percentage. So I don't know if they're ever going to put that percentage number inside the when you actually click inside it. Because if you wait for the provisioning, and so it's beginning, I'm just going to wait for the number to start, and that's another thing I've noticed about Linode, is that the provisioning speed can vary at certain times of the day or certain times of the week. So this is actually quite slow, whereas sometimes when I'm doing it on the weekend, yes, it says booting, there's no percentage, but you see that you get the percentage here. So it would be nice if they would actually give you some inside there as well. So next thing we've got this public IP address, and now next important thing is I need to make sure that this is on it has a host name, because there's a reason for that, is so that the certificate can work. So what I'm now just going to do is I'm just going to set up the DNS. Thing is, I have to set up the DNS now simply because I didn't know what the IP address was. So I had to wait until I got the IP address before I could actually set up the DNS. So let me just do that now. So I'm just going to cut this, and then I'll come back. I'll be back once the DNS is set up and tested. Okay, so now I've set up the DNS, and so the next thing I have to do is to actually test that it's working. And so just make sure, so if I do that, and there's a command, just to make sure it's up. Oh no, sorry, I just made a mistake. So I think it's actually host. But anyway, what I've done is I've set up a domain called bbb-bnm.1. So if I do alright, so that's the domain I've set up. So as you can see, that's the correct address. So it was 139.162.236. Alright, so that's correct. And then I have to make sure that it's actually correct on both name servers as well. Yeah, so that's right. So if I just dig it without doing it at my name server, so I'm just going to do it straight on the internet, then there you go. So it gives me the correct address. So what that means is that I'm ready now to set up. And it's important to do these checks, because if it doesn't work against the general name servers and against the primary and backup, then that means there's something wrong with your name server setup, or the way that you configure it. So now we've got that. So what I can do now is I can now SSH in, and remember I had the SSH key that I added to here. So what I do now is in this shell I can SSH as root to and that's it. So I'm in. So there we have it. So I'm in the virtual machine now, and so now it's a case of setting up the BigBlueButton. So what I do then, just do a search for BigBlueButton. So BigBlueButton install script. It should be the first. And this is the other reason why I'm doing this, is because there's other people who've done it, but they don't. It's just the ones where it's either music or they're not the serious people. So what I'm going to do. So we just want this script. And this is how we get the script. What I'm going to do is I'm going to download it, and there's a reason why. Alright, so we have the script there, and so now I have to change it because there's a part where it checks for the number of cores, and I just need to adjust that, because of course I only have I've only selected 2 cores, and it works. But what they've done with the script is that they've made it so if you don't have 4 cores, it'll crash out. Because normally what happens is I run it, and it will actually, let's see, I've got 4 gigs of memory. You run it as root. Yes, your server needs at least 4 CPUs. So if it's less than 4, so we just change that to 2. So that because like I say, if you just want to do testing with a couple of people, there's no point getting a more expensive. Why are you going to pay double the money when it's going to work anyway? And the thing is, I know it's worked because I've used this with people who've connected in, and we've had long talks on it, and the 2 CPU cores have done an excellent job. And there's one other thing I just remembered is that you have to do is that because this is, I've had this problem before, and in order to solve it, this is what I've had to do. And so I've had to do So I've had to make a swap file. So what I find happens is that sometimes when you restart BigBlueButton and you've only got 4 gigs of memory, some of the Java processes will crash, and then you have these mysterious like problems with your audio. So now we're going to make a swap file. Should 1 gig and count is 4. I found a 4 gig swap file does the job quite well. So the only reason this is here is simply because, like I say, occasionally you can get these little peaks where the swap that it has at the moment. So if you check that, it's only got 500 megabytes of swap, and that occasionally can run out. It only happens like once in a while. But when the service crashes, it causes the audio to stop working, which doesn't help. So this is the reason for creating the swap file, is to make sure that to stop the audio from crashing out. If you run out of memory. And so now we have to chmod it. Then you have to make swap. And swap on it. Right, so if we type 3 now, yeah, so we got 4 gigs of swap now. And you might think, why bother doing this on a virtual machine? But you'll see why it's worth doing this later on. So now, another thing is, should have been running this. Should be running this in screen. Right, so now we're almost ready. So I just need to get the command that I used. Right, so I'm just going to be setting it up. So one other thing I want to add is that because admittedly normally I have a text file with this, but I was in a bit of a hurry, admittedly. So we just need to add Greenlight as well. To make it executable. It's good to have screen, because then you can make changes without having to leave the current shell. So then the W is for the firewall. This is the version. That's the host name, email, and then we're going to install Greenlight as well. And I think that should be it. Yes, I think that should be it. So now it's just a case of just run that. And the thing about it is you don't have to bother with apt update or anything like that, because the script that does everything for you. And of course the important thing to remember is that you have to run this on a blank machine in order for it to install properly. So I'm going to let this run through, and then I'm just going to come back at the end. Right, so that's it. So as you see, the only problem it found is that it's only got 2 cores, but that's not a problem. And so this should actually be up. And so now the next thing we have to do is actually to set up, we have to set up an admin so that we can create a login to the Greenlight. And there's a couple of ways of doing that, but the easiest way is just to actually, let me just do it from here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to do the so I'm going to create an admin account. Right, so okay, so that's the login credentials for us to get in. Okay, looks like they got some sort of validation on the password. So now that's what we can use to actually log in to the into the BigBlueButton. So obviously I have to make sure to delete this, well, at least change it before, because of course you're going to have the usual guys trying to get in using these credentials. So now we're just going to see if that works. Okay, and there we are. As you can see, it's HTTPS already. So it's done the old see, and this is the reason why you use the domain, so that the Let's Encrypt can work properly. And you definitely don't want to try and do it with a self-signed certificate, because you end up in trouble when you're trying to use Chrome. So if you sign in, they don't even tell you what the validation is, so you just have to guess it. Right, so now we're in. So we need a new room, but before I do that, what you can do is just go to the admin panel, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to see where the password strength checker is, but it looks as if it isn't. Right, but anyway, so we're in on the server and it's up. And so what I just need to do is just to check that it actually works. So what I'm going to do is going to get just try and connect with my, because I haven't got a microphone. Well, yeah, but at the moment I'm using the microphone, so it's not going to work. So what I just got to do, so we create a new room. Right, and so if we start the room, so it's going to take us in, and the way you know it's working is that those dots, see, if those dots don't appear, then you've got a problem. And so what I want is just to listen. Right, so they're in. So essentially, once you hear that sound, that means that the it's working. And of course, if anyone has the link to your so if anyone has the link to your server, they can come straight in. So what you have to do, you go to the guest policy and make sure it's on Ask Moderator. But you can change this on for the room itself. So now you end up with the waiting users section. So if anyone tries to connect, they'll show up in here. And so now I'm just going to try and connecting with the phone. Right, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm recording my phone, so you'll see it when it's time to actually put the video together. I'll put it on the screen somewhere so you can see what I'm doing to actually get in. Okay, so I'm just going into the browser. So now I've just got to type this this address. Okay, so now I'm just going to join it. Okay, so just got to put a name in. And just acknowledge that and you have to put that tick in, because if you don't, it doesn't let you go in. So join meeting. So as you see, the waiting users comes up here. It's funny, they used to have a message thing here, but they seem to have got rid of that. So that's me here. So as you can see on the little screen, it's saying guest lobby. So when I click on the little plus, it then lets me in. As you see, so redirecting to meeting. And it's a bit slow on this phone because it's quite old. Yeah, so as long as you get those little dots, that means we're there, because sometimes when you have a problem, the dots don't appear, and that means you've got a problem with your setup. So I'm just going to go for a microphone. Just choose the default when you're on the phone, and we could do speakerphone, but it's a bit loud. And just join audio. Hello, hello. Yeah, there's a little bit of echo. Oops. Alright, just had to mute that. So as you can see, that's working. Right, but anyway, you get the gist of it. So so essentially you can connect with the phone, and as you can hear, the audio is working properly, because you're getting a bit of echo there. And so that's it. So that's the end of this particular video for how to install BigBlueButton on Linode. And in the next video, we're going to be going into how to do the actual customization of it. And yeah, I'm just going to show you. So if you want to get out, at the moment, I haven't added the setting where, well, I'll show you in the next one, but to get out at the moment, so on the phone, I just got to click on the dots. That's what it lets me. Then I'll click on leave meeting. And then, so then if I want to get out of here as well, I have to do in meeting for all. and for all users. So then that's the end of the meeting, and so we're just back to the normal interface. So the next video we'll be dealing with the customization. So if you just subscribe, then you'll be able to get notified when I put that video out.